Hey Ron, welcome. So if you have something you'd like to talk about, I can unmute your mic. Because the office hours is okay.
Hey there, can you hear me?
Yes, how you doing?
Hi, great. Thank you for offering the service. I've watched a bunch of them and they're really helpful, so thank you very much.
Hey, you're welcome.
So I have not yet purchased MemberMouse. It seems like that's really what I want to do. I just have some technical questions that I was hoping maybe you could help me with.
Sure.
And they're dumb questions because I'm a complete noob. So
okay.
Here's the stack that I'm thinking of doing. I'm thinking of LearnDash with the Illumin theme, MemberMouse, and then WooCommerce. Does that make sense? Do I need all of that?
Well, depends on what you're wanting to do. I mean, all of those will work together, whether you need them or not. It depends on.
Sure. You mean you couldn't read my mind? So I've got a membership that I'm putting together that's an educational site that has specific courses that are being offered as well as membership. It's related to custody parenting issues. And the idea is to have two different types of customers, professionals, being namely attorneys and counselors, things like that, and then parents themselves. Mm-hmm. I would anticipate that the professional side would purchase probably mainly discrete products. The parents would probably get the membership. And then we want to have restricted content to where they have to have a foundations course before they can get into the more advanced things because they build on the principles.
Okay. So I'm not hearing where you actually need WooCommerce.
At all.
Right, because MemberMouse facilitates being able to purchase things. I mean, really the only time you would really want WooCommerce is if you needed a traditional cart where people could put multiple physical products into it and check out and then have them shipped to them for something.
Oh, I see. Okay. So let's say that on the site I have course A, course B, course C. Mm-hmm. People could get a membership or they could buy all three courses. Right. MemberMouse can handle those scenarios.
Correct.
Oh, well, that's good.
Yeah.
So I could do it if I'm assuming I'm using LearnDash, then I just need LearnDash, a theme, and MemberMouse. And do you have any thoughts about that Illumin theme?
I've never heard of it.
I can Wisdom Labs theme.
Wisdom Labs Illumin theme.
Yeah, WISDM Labs. They take the O out of wisdom.
Illumin, the LearnDash theme. Okay, so it's specifically for LearnDash.
Yeah. And I love how you do your site because it's so video heavy, and everywhere you go to a new thing, you can see a video that tells you about it, which I think is amazing.
You're talking about the demo site or the membermouse.com site?
Your membermouse.com site, and also the demo site. I mean, you do it there too.
Yeah. Yeah, themes always is a very tricky area with WordPress. So
in your mind, do you have a theme that you think is a great theme for that purpose?
Well, in the world of WordPress, it's always like, in my opinion, it's kind of like good enough is the top award given, basically. Mm-hmm. Because there's always going to be a thing. Nothing is 100% perfect and all the things you want. But with that said, most most of the time we're recommending kind of the larger themes like Divi. And there's really just a couple of reasons for that. One is that WordPress is a constantly moving canvas. They're constantly changing things. And so basically anything like software like MemberMouse or LearnDash or a theme that you want to add to your site, something to consider is like how active are the teams at maintaining that in concert with the changes that WordPress releases. So you can trust that more with established things like Divi. They're a large company. Divi and Elementor is another one. They're different animals, but those are good places to start. And plus, we do have a starter pack for Divi so that you can get all of your MemberMouse pages styled. With that said, given that it seems like you're really targeting and wanting the course style site that really caters to what LearnDash does, it's worth looking into and considering that theme, even though I've never heard of them. And a number of things, I would be concerned about a number of things going into it, but their selling point is like, okay, well, we can take a lot of the things that you're going to have to do yourself off the table by giving it to you on a platter.
Yeah, and I'm a little concerned about that because I'm an attorney with a private practice this is my retirement plan I'm trying to figure out. And doing it myself is a little daunting.
Yeah, for sure.
Is Divi something that you have to be technical to be able to use well?
Well, I mean, anytime you enter in the WordPress door, slightly technical is implied, right? But I don't know how deep you've gone into any of this, right? But it's really just slightly technical. It doesn't mean you need to know how to code. It just means that you feel comfortable maybe in thinking about what hosting is and installing something.
Yeah, I made my firm website using WordPress, and I did that.
So you're more than capable of doing this. There's definitely going to be a learning curve, but that's honestly a point where most people who've never done it before get caught up just on those basics.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, but I would say if you're just starting out, it definitely is seductive to try and get everything done in the first pass. But I find that identifying a minimum viable product is usually a better use of time, because the fact of the matter is whatever you do first is you're gonna learn things and you're gonna change it anyway. So might as well do something simple that you can get up quick, put it out in the market, see if you even get any bites on it, make some adjustments to your content strategy before you try and like build, the Taj Mahal. And
that actually leads me into my second category of questions. If I may continue, I don't want to take all your time.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
Okay, thanks. So I'm actually presenting with my partner in this endeavor at an international conference in May that's going to have more than 1,000 professionals. And so trying to get something launched and understand the minimal viable product.
Yeah.
What my plan to do, and see if this makes sense to you, I've got a booth there in the hallway. I'm going to have a QR code on big banners where they can scan it, look at the site. And I want to give them a coupon code so that they can test everything out for free. And then I watched some of your prior videos, and it sounds like I would create a bundle. Is that the right term that enables them to do that? Put everything.
Well, if it's for free and it's the first thing they're signing up for, then you're going to need to use a free membership.
A free membership. Okay.
Yeah. Because free bundles can't be the first thing that somebody gets.
Okay.
You can have a paid bundle be the first thing that somebody gets, or even a trial. But absolutely free, you got to start with a free membership. But as far as what the customer is going to be getting access to, it's not going to, they'll still have the same experience you're envisioning. They'll basically put in their info, sign up, and then immediately they'll get access to a content protected area with whatever you're giving them for that free thing.
And that could be a time to limited free membership.
Yeah, you can have a expiry date on it, and then you can also link it up with an email service provider like MailChimp or ActiveCampaign, so that you can add them to a mailing list to get automated emails about whatever you want them to get emails about.
And then as I go into the future, sort of what I'm thinking is these folks may be mainly referral sources, but because of ethical constraints, I can't pay them an affiliate fee. So would it make sense to set up essentially a coupon code per providers that are willing to establish a relationship with me so that they can pass on a discount to their clients, even though they're not receiving an affiliate type fee? Does that make sense?
Yeah, you can definitely do that. And you can set up the coupon code, and depending on how many of these people that you have, you can even use a plugin called Pretty Links, which is a WordPress plugin. It allows you to create kind of vanity URLs. So what's the domain for your site?
coparentacademy.com.
So coparentacademy.com/Jerry or whatever, right? It could be that. And basically internally would resolve it to coparentacademy.com/ and then the kind of like coupon equals and then the coupon code, right? Because one URL would be Jerry would be more likely to use that URL, and it would also be easier for him to put on sites and tell people by word of mouth than kind of having to repeat a coupon code or whatever.
That's really interesting. Thank you for suggesting that.
Yeah. I think that it's good that you have a deadline. You know, you want to get something by May, so it allows you to reverse engineer kind of wanting to have a soft launch probably before that to a small group, 6 weeks before, so that you can get feedback and then make adjustments. But yeah.
Between MailChimp and something like ActiveCampaign, for someone with my skill level, which is not, what do you suggest?
Go whichever one has the best pricing and offer for you, because they're going to both be fine. I would say for your case, probably MailChimp, because you could also look at Drip. We use Drip as a company. It might be cost prohibitive. I don't think it's the cheapest one. So you really just need the basic. So I would just go with whichever one gives you the most, because you could probably get it for free up to a certain number of people anyway. So just check out what they're offering and go with the cheapest one, because you really just need the basic things, I'm imagining.
Okay. And then in terms of like hosting and speed and all that, do you have any recommendations on that for a membership site? Like, do I need a minimum level of something? Like, for example,
I don't know about the specs specifically, because normally that's not how they're even marketed anyway. There is a difference between dedicated hosting and managed hosting, or like a virtual private server. Like, you definitely don't want to go with a virtual private server, because what it essentially means is you're sharing that server with other people. And that's when you're going to see price. It's a virtual private server if they tell you it's a virtual private server, or the pricing is something like $4.95 a month, right? Unless it's something like a DigitalOcean, which you're not going to use because it's a more technical solution. It takes away all of the user interfaces and everything that make it helpful for people who are not used to server administration. But DigitalOcean is cheap because of that reason. But like, for example, GoDaddy is cheap at $4.95 a month because you're sharing with other people. That leads to all sorts of problems. The best thing I would say is to check out the article that Cindy just posted.
Okay.
Well,
Thank you,
she
Cindy.
posted it under my name, but somebody else is posting to the chat who also is logged into my Zoom account. But yeah, that article has all the lessons. We update that constantly, mostly from the support side, because they're seeing all the things that go well and don't go well with hosting. And so that's a kind of living document for where we see the best hosting providers are for WordPress and MemberMouse. So
That's
if you
perfect.
just take the top recommendation from that article, that'll be a good starting point.
Great, thank you. You couldn't see me shaking my head or nodding my head yes.
But you know, my brother Kurt is in a similar kind of track to you. He's also a professional in insurance, and a number of years ago, he decided he wanted to create a site where he was offering lessons that he's learned to other insurance providers. And so it definitely can be done. You know, he's I think 3 years in now, and you know, so his site's called Risk Review, and I did a podcast with him. If you want to check it out.
Yeah, definitely. Well, thank you for.
There may be some commonalities that you can hear in our conversation, but yeah. So
That's all really, really helpful. Thank you for letting me pick your brain on all sorts of stuff there.
sure. But yeah, I would say, you know, anytime you find yourself, if you ever find yourself getting overwhelmed, you're probably just asking yourself to do too much too soon. So just keep that in mind, because it can be very easy in this space to do too much too soon.
Yeah, I definitely have felt overwhelmed in trying to make all the decisions, but it seems like I was trying to make decisions I didn't need to make. So I will take this as a
Well, that's usually how it is, but sometimes you don't know that you don't need to do it. Like, and the thing is, like, we all know this, and you know this too, because like, if you imagine yourself talking to somebody who's just stepping into the co-parenting space, and they've never, you know, it's their first experience, like they're overwhelmed, right? And they have all these questions, and you're like, listen, you just need to think about this thing and that thing, not these 10 other things, right? It's the same experience everybody goes through when they're going to something new. And that's why you're there for them when they're going through it. And you know, but it's always interesting when we end up on the other side of it, going through, you know, going through something new ourselves.
Yeah, it's a little humbling for sure, especially when we can get big heads in our own spheres.
Yeah, but it's also nice to know, because then you don't have to do too much. You don't have to do more. Like I would say, if you break it down to the nuts and bolts of it, you basically have whatever your offer is, whatever somebody gets once they've entered in their information or done what you want them to do, give you money or whatever. That's some content that needs to be created, right? So that's an effort that needs to be done, but it can be done offline. It can be done as whatever your most efficient way to create content is, whether that's recording audio, recording video, writing, whatever. You do it in a tool that you feel comfortable with first, and create that content before you try to, you know, make it in a package that you deliver to somebody. Once you have the content, then it's just like, okay, well, how do people get this? And there's a website, there's a form that they need to fill out. If they need to give you money, they need to be able to give you money. And then you have a way that they get access to the content once they've paid you. And that's it. So that, to me, that's a fundamental thing. Like, and of course, there's always like adding a whole course concept onto it, and having multiple courses, and tracking progress through courses, and doing quizzes, and, you know, that, but, you know, to me, those are, do you need to go live with that? That's only a question that you can answer, but it's a question worth asking.
That actually brings up a question that I have. Thank you for saying that, because it sparked So sometimes it is conceivable that we'll create a product that a court could order someone to take to help address an issue. And in that case, they would need a certificate. And I know LearnDash does certificates. Do you know, is there anything through MemberMouse that can be done?
But also like, if you're thinking like what types of numbers are you thinking of? Like, say everything goes perfectly well at this conference where you do the booth, what type of sign up numbers do you think or want to have after the fact, if everything goes perfectly well?
Like my 2-year goal, like even down the road, I think I would be supremely happy if I had 2,000 people, 2,000 clients.
Right. Okay. Well, yeah, at 2,000, you definitely need to take advantage of solutions that provide automation, do things for you, create things for you, you know, and stuff like that. So, but again, that's usually a more mature phase of a business, and not something that you're dealing with right out of the gate, unless of course you also have earmarked a big chunk of money or other resource where you know how you're going to get 2,000 people in the door in the first 2 months.
Oh yeah, no, I'm thinking 2 years.
Right. So the thing is, like, if at the end of this conference, if say you have, I don't know, but whatever number you have, the thing about a certification is you could probably do it yourself in Photoshop. Get a template offline and create the certification yourself. In other words, it's important to look for, it's just as important to look for things that you don't have to do, right, as things that you do have to do. And it's important to distinguish when you need to do them, because something like, if you look at your requirements of what you want and what you need for this first launch, if you can cut out needing LearnDash immediately, and I'm not saying that you don't need it initially, that's a call that you have to make. But if it's not necessary, then it makes your job a lot easier to get to that first goal. But if you do need it, then it's a different track altogether. But
that's interesting.
Always, yeah.
So you're thinking that to get that minimally viable product, it could even be Divvy that has the form, the payment processing.
Well, MemberMouse has the payment processing. MemberMouse has the form. Right. So in terms of checking out, either way, whether LearnDash is involved or not, you'll be checking out through a MemberMouse form. MemberMouse will be connected to PayPal or Stripe to handle payment processing. MemberMouse will be handling content delivery, protecting the content, making sure that people only get access if they've paid you. Yeah, and then Divvy, we have a Divvy layout pack, which will help style the form and also give you some assets to help you build your members area. But yeah, like it's a much more simple picture, basically. Even if you ignore what each piece does, there's 2 pieces instead of 3, which automatically makes it less complex.
It's really interesting.
And again, like I'm definitely not trying to downsell LearnDash, because I know a lot of customers who use it, and I think it's a good tool. So it's not about that. It's just about, you know, how and when to do things, basically. And is there a way that you can get the ball rolling in your business with the minimal amount of investment of time and energy, to prove out the idea? Because one of the things that's always true for businesses is that there's going to be a lot of iteration for you to learn about how your customers want to interact with you and your product. So the quicker you can get something out there and put it in front of them and get feedback and make adjustments, the better. And if you spend so much time trying to build what you envision to be the thing, then that just means it's longer to market, and then also more effort that you spent to get to market. But ultimately, it's going to change anyway, based on feedback.
That's
So,
really good advice. One last question. So if I have, and I'm using Member Mouse, and if I run into issues and trying to figure out how to do something, I know that you guys have extensive documentation, which I really appreciate. I think I saw also that there's maybe some consulting opportunities where you could hire someone to assist. Is that through y'all as well?
that is definitely possible. But even before that, our support is there, and our support is really good. So if you run into things like that, you don't know how to do something, or you're having an issue with something, support's going to be the answer for you. They'll give you the answer. And in certain circumstances, they'll log into your site, take a look at things.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, there are also consulting options. But I would say that's the third tier.
Okay.
So ready documentation that's available in the support center, our email-based support, and then consulting if necessary after that. There are different options. And again, we have a document that goes over all those different options about what's available and what our team can do, that is in the chat.
Got it. I see that as well. Well, I cannot thank you enough for spending this time with me. I really appreciate it. And it's been the really good advice. So thank you.
Good. Well, my pleasure. And I hope that things continue to progress, and that myself and my team can help you as you go along.
Great. Thank you. Hope you have a great day.
Yeah, you too, Ron. Bye.
Bye.